News Glenn. This is the next episode of Good News Glenn, which is great news for the county. And we are with William Fallon, the Glynn County Manager. So welcome.
Well, thanks for having me again.
Certainly. So glad to have you as always. So today we're talking to you, and then we're going to move on to Police Chief Ebner. But if you'd like to, let's just get started and talk about summer coming up, some of the changes that might happen this season, and then love for you to introduce Police Chief Ebner.
Oh, that'd be great. Sure. So, yeah, as you mentioned, summer's coming up. And so it's probably in about 2 weeks or so. Usually what we see in early May is a little bit of a lull until graduations and school, colleges let out, that type of thing. But I think we'll start to see that that typical summer rush will probably start next week or the week after. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple things that we're doing, I think, a little bit different this year. Obviously, we have the beaches. And as you heard from Rex and Park Director GLYNN last month, some changes that we're making out there at the beach. The one big plus up that we have this year is that we're going to be able to fully staff our lifeguards. And so we were shooting for, I think, 19. I think we got 21 beach lifeguards this year, which is great. All our pools, we have enough lifeguards for the pools as well. So we'll be able to fully staff everything across the board on St. Simon's when it comes to the beaches and to the pools. And so that's a big plus. And then also you're going to hear a little bit from Chief Ebner later on. He's going to talk a little bit about some of the things that he's going to do, introduce for patrols on the beach, just for safety, for everybody's safety there as well. But there's some, again, I think with him, it's probably some staffing that we haven't had in the past. He's going to be able to make some adjustments to his schedule to make sure that we have enough people out there, both on the police side and then certainly on the lifeguard side. So we're looking forward to the summer.
Right. So a few changes and sort of revving up the patrol side, making sure you have more than enough lifeguards, more than enough patrol officers. So that is great. And we are glad to hear that as we head into this summer season.
Yeah, so it's a big time of year for us, and it really lasts half of May into the end of May, all of June, certainly the 4th of July. So we do have some planning that we're doing for 4th of July. So that's something that is, even though it's an annual event, we know when it's coming. It doesn't mean that we plan for it on July 3rd. We plan for that early on. So we've already had a couple of meetings already. Our emergency management director, Andy Lanza, is preparing not only with our staff, but a lot of our partners as well, not just Glynn County, but the other partners that come into play when we, the Coast Guard, DNR, others that come into play in Sheriff's Office when we have that event on July 4th. So we're looking forward to that. And then I would say, throughout the month of July, it starts to tail off towards the end of July, and then August, we still have some tourism. But really, the big months for us are going to be the second half of May, all of June, and then really all of July.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yes, it's a big season because as you just talked about, beach patrol and summer pools and beaches, but there's also boat safety. Yeah. I think Boat Safety Awareness Day or week was recently. Hurricane season, hurricane preparedness. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, what people don't realize that hurricane season actually starts in June, and so you think the fall, but really it's from June to December. And we've seen in recent years storms that have come in November, which hadn't been the case in years past. But yeah, so that's a big part of it as well. So that it's a big season for us here, obviously with hurricanes, but or the potential for hurricanes. So that's another big part of our planning that we're getting underway with. And then the other thing that I'd like to mention too, we talked a little bit about kind of the beach safety. So we want to make sure that people are aware. We have some hot spots, Gulls Inlet, for instance, some of the other areas where the tide comes in pretty quick. And so I think our tide changes faster than most people realize, particularly the people that aren't from here or haven't been here in years past. But we want to be able to make sure that we educate the public on that as well, make sure that parents are watching their kids, all that type of thing. And then pets as well. And so one of the things that just to keep in mind, and we put this out, is that dogs are not allowed on the beach from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Between Memorial Day and Labor Day. And it's not just a convenience issue for other beachgoers. It really is aimed at the dogs themselves. The beach gets incredibly hot during those times during the summer, and so it's really for their safety as much as it is for just the good experience that we want to make sure our beachgoers have on the beach.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that is a big change, because you can take your dog anytime, but then May through September, those times change. You really need to be aware of that. So, and definitely for the dog, just as much as anything else. So yes, thank you for mentioning that. That's an important factor. Okay. Anything else you want to mention before we move on to your introduction for Police Chief Ebner?
Well, yeah, we'll roll right into that. So one of the things, May. So if you're familiar with May is actually police. May is a lot of different things, but one of the things it is Police Memorial or Awareness Month, Appreciation Month, really. There is the third week in May typically is Police Week. However, the entire month really is you see celebrations for the memorial for those that have lost their lives in the line of duty. I just attended a couple this week, as a matter of fact. I was up in Charlotte. I used to be a U.S. Marshal. We lost a deputy U.S. Marshal and 3 other officers up in Charlotte last week. I attended that funeral this past Monday, which is always tough to do. But then I also went to the FLETC Peace Officers Memorial. They have it every year out at FLETC here at GLYNN, and that was Tuesday, yesterday. And so those are really the kickoff. The FLETC event really is the kickoff for the memorial for the month. If you ever get a chance to get out to FLETC, they have a memorial wall that's out there. And when I was out there, I used to take some of the students kind of through the wall, and it starts in the 70s and it goes all the way up to this past year, 2023. And so really it's kind of a walk through history, because you see some of the names that are on that wall from events that you probably recognize. My former partner, Bill Deegan from Boston with the Marshal Service, was killed at Ruby Ridge back in 1992. And then in 1993, if you recall, they had the Waco incident with the ATF agents in Waco, Texas. There was the 1995 Alfred Murrah building in Oklahoma City that was bombed. So there's quite a few names, unfortunately, on the wall there. And then it kind of goes through the different the decade of really a lot of the border wars with the cartels. And then it gets into after 9/11. And so you see some of the folks from the federal agencies that went overseas and lost their lives in the line of duty in Iraq and Afghanistan. And then it brings us really to COVID too. And there's a lot of names out there that actually lost their lives based on contracting COVID and losing that battle. And the other thing is too, there was this past yesterday when I went out there was yet another person that actually responded to ground zero after 9/11 that developed 9/11 sickness, so one form of cancer. And so we've actually had people that have died probably every year for the last 5 or 6 years from responding to New York City to ground zero after 9/11. So just a lot. There's a lot of folks that certainly give their lives for their country. Give their lives to protect all of us, and I saw that Monday in Charlotte, and we see it at FLETC every year, and we continue to see it now. So that's kind of what May is, and so we're proud of what the police department here is doing. You're going to get a chance to talk to Scott Ebner, and Scott comes from the New Jersey State Police. He rose through the ranks there to become a major. I think he was a lieutenant colonel with them as well. He was chief of staff, and I think when he retired, he was number 3 or number 4 within the New Jersey State Police Department. So his experience is second to none. He's got broad range of police experience, not only as a trooper, but really in the management and leadership side. So we're really very happy with his work over the past year. It's nearly a year that he's been in place as our police chief. And really from top to bottom, when it comes to fighting crime and conducting investigations a little bit differently than we have in the past to really get results, all the way through to recruiting and retention. So the efforts that he's making there really have been tremendous over the last several months in particular.
Wow. Yes. It sounds like he's an amazing chief and great experience and ready to tackle Glynn County. And we can't wait to interview him. And that's coming up next. So stay tuned. But we appreciate your time today, and good luck this summer with all the tourists and everything going on. But it sounds like you're fully prepared, and it's going to be a great season. So we thank you for your time today, and we'll see you next time.
All right. See you next month, and have a great rest of your May.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Stay tuned. Chief Ebner is coming up next. Welcome to Good News Glenn. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Police Chief Scott Ebner. We are so thrilled to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Ms. Brooks. It's nice to be with you.
Absolutely. Yes. This show is all about good news, as you know, good news in Glynn County. And so I know you're going to have some good news to share with us today. Let's start off by talking about you. So you've been here for about a year, and this is your first time to the show. Let's talk a little bit about you. Tell us how you got here to Glynn County.
Well, I got here because while I was a law enforcement officer in New Jersey for over 27 years, I'm in my just past 33 years total. But one of my good professional friends who was a police chief in New Jersey and part of the FBI National Academy with myself advised me about this job in Glynn County as a public safety director, then as police chief. And the only reason he said something to me is because I used to share with him that I used to come down here when I was a child with my great uncle and family. And he goes, "Didn't you go down to Glynn County, St. Simons, Jekyll, and the whole county?" And I said, "Yes." So that's how I learned about it. And when I shared it with my wife, we just celebrated our 26th wedding anniversary Friday. You know, we made a conscious decision, and was fortunate enough to be part of the team and brought on and moved my whole family down here last March, except for my mother and my 23-year-old son are staying in New Jersey. My 23-year-old son is a commercial fisherman, and right now he likes what he's doing there, and he's staying there. And my mom comes back and forth. She'll actually be down in a couple of weeks. But my daughter, who goes to college here at College of Coastal, studies business and marketing, just finished her junior year and will be going into her senior year. And my wife's down here with me. And, of course, our 2 dogs and 2 cats. So we had the whole family here.
That's so nice. What a great story. Thank you for sharing that. And, you know, that's interesting that, you know, you visited as a child. It was kind of meaningful to you then. And so you were already familiar, but in such a positive way. So that's really neat to hear.
Yeah, it's like come full circle to be a part of it and to be part of the community and live here now. When I look back, you know, I remember the first time I came down, I was like 8 or 9, and I'm like, it's changed a lot, but it's still the same in some ways.
Right. Exactly. Which I'm sure is kind of a challenge. Being a police chief, it's like, you know, yes, it's the same. And so some of the same things can be in place, but I know there's a lot of new. So let's get straight to that. What is the good news from the police department, and what are some accomplishments? In what areas have you seen the most progress during this first year?
Well, we've seen a lot of progress. I know I have. As the outsider coming in, there was a lot of change in staff and people coming and going, but really bringing continuity here. So that's what I did, but embrace the great men and women that work here every day. And I'm talking the civilian professional staff, our crime scene techs, our detectives, our officers, our supervisors, our commanders. It's just been, that's the great news I can tell you about, is I think we have wonderful people that work here that really care about the community, that care what happens to them, to their neighbors, because they're part of it. And I've embraced that, and it's been really welcoming, and they've been great. So the best thing I can say, that's the good news that's going on. And we're welcoming new people monthly now as we're going through our hiring, and we'll talk about that later. But the great news that I can say is that, and just some of the movement that we've had. We've brought on a new crime analyst, which was a police officer, but really didn't work out. She was new hire. She'd gone to college here locally, went to the academy. And then when she got into field training as a police officer in uniform and learning, she's like, this really isn't what I saw myself doing or like. And then we segued into a crime analyst position, and we really, you know, helped our capabilities as a department using her as a crime analyst and having her more training, work with our detectives, our officers. So that's some great news that I wanted to share with you. And I think it's important because it's not just everyone just thinks of police officers in uniform. The professional staff that come in and day out that help with records, that help with analyzing cases, that deal with our IT support of our systems and our professional staff. We couldn't work as an agency without them. I think anybody in my line of work, they'll tell you they're the nuts and bolts that keep us going.
Yes, exactly. No, I'm glad you mentioned that, because we were going to, next question is go straight into changing some promotions in the command staff at the Glynn County Police Department. And that is first to recognize there is a great staff there, and not to forget the people behind the scenes. It's not just somebody necessarily in a blue uniform, but so many, departments and people behind the scenes that really help things run smoothly. So tell us about that and how that impacts the direction of the department and how you conduct business, the business of policing Glynn County.
Yeah, well, to really piggyback what I was talking about before, I think this goes into that, is that an agency is only as good as its personnel, its people. It's not about the building. It's not about our technology. It's about the people that come here and do this every day and are committed to doing it. And that's the professional staff, that's the officers, that's the supervisors, and that's the command staff. So at the command staff level, when I first came in, we had an interim chief, and which was the assistant chief, and then we had an administrative captain that left within a couple months of each other. So I had to fill those voids, and I'm still doing that now. But I was able to identify some really good talent. We did a national search for assistant police chief that the county manager was on as well, and we were able to identify what I thought was the best candidate with Assistant Chief Stephanie Oliver from within. She's worked here almost 20 years and worked in almost every area of the department, from internal affairs to patrol to criminal investigations. She was in charge of the patrol division before she was elevated to assistant chief, and she's hit the ground running and done a great job. And we've moved other captains around. I moved the captain from CID to patrol because he's the most experienced captain outside of Assistant Chief Oliver, and we really needed that in patrol. And he's done a fantastic job there. He brings that mindset, that criminal investigative mindset to our patrol, which is important for our officers to understand when they go out to a call. They're not just there to take a report. They're there to investigate it and help whatever victim or person who's reporting it the best they can, and bring a resolution to that situation. And he's really done a good job with that. And we have been able to, just recently, within the past couple of weeks, we promoted Martin Davis, a lieutenant with a criminal investigation background, to be in charge as a captain now of our criminal investigations division. And we're soon going to be onboarding a new captain to our administrative division. So you can see that filling these positions is extremely important for the ability of the department to move forward, to have them representing us as a great agency that we are, and building upon our professionalism each day. And it starts there. And we're also doing the same thing with other positions. But like I said, I really wanted to talk about those people and how we've selected them and where they're at now.
Right. So yes, so important to have a great staff in place. And that sort of, helps move things forward in a positive direction. I've talked to Mr. Fallon about that a lot. The commissioners, everybody seems to think that this Glynn County staff is really working in sync together, and things are good. So it's good to hear that from your individual department, the police department, those things are also happening.
Absolutely. We complement each other well. We build upon each other's strengths and let each other know where we need to get better at. And we're doing that together as a department.
Yes. Good teamwork, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. So just another side question, obviously having FLETC here, does that, is that a good thing? When people think about coming to this.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a good thing. And sometimes it could be a bad thing. And I'll explain it to you. The good thing is because we have one of the best training facilities, if not the best in the country, right here in our backyard in Glynn County. And we just had one of our captains go through their executive leadership training, a 2-week course, and he graduated last week. Captain Jeff Williams, he's in charge of our support services. And he couldn't stop talking about how much he enjoyed the training. So I was very fortunate enough to have our command staff member go there. But on the other side, a double-edged sword is that we do lose members from time to time that go and apply and go to work over at FLETC as a full-time instructor or many other capabilities. And so when you say, is it a good thing? It absolutely is a good thing. Is it tough sometimes when you lose personnel to go over there? I'm happy for them. I'm happy for them and their families. But yes, we don't want to lose anyone, But at the end of the day, I'm glad they stay in this line of work and that they're really furthering their career and their family and they're enjoying what they're doing.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. I see how that could be good and sometimes bad, but but mostly good. Yeah.
Yeah, it absolutely is good because we have a great relationship with all of them over there, and I wish them the best. And they're so welcome and help us with training or needs that we have. And you know, officers that do go there, we see them. We see them around the community. We see them when we're over there training, and it's always like, "Hello, how you doing? Hope things are going well." And I just saw one yesterday at the ceremony they had over at FLETC, and I just said hi and, you know, wished them well. So I do that with everyone I see. And yeah, so we do lose a few that have gone over to FLETC.
Right. Makes sense. Okay. Let's see. Recruiting. We sort of hit on that a little bit. You're actually recruiting nationwide. I think you mentioned that. Talk a little bit more about that and why somebody might consider, number one, coming here to Glynn County, to your department, but also just a career in law enforcement in general.
Well, it is. It's a difficult field. It's challenging even more so than when I started back in 1991 when I first started in law enforcement. With social media and being able to have information spread instantaneously, like if I was involved in a situation today, not only is my name going to get out there, but it could affect my whole family. You know, if I have children, my relatives, everyone sees that. So people know that. We're seeing less people apply to law enforcement overall throughout the country. And that's one of the driving forces, is because you're under a microscope and your name can get out there. Now, it's different if it's just about me, but when it translates into your family and your children, that's hard for some people to shoulder and to actually want to put themselves out there. I'm sure you could understand that.
Of course. Yeah.
But there's still a great number of people that want to do this job. I think it's one of the most honorable professions in the world because you're willing to put yourself out there and help people before, in essence, you're taking care of yourself. Meaning, I think others become before myself when I put myself out this line of work. You're serving people. Right. And we have people that want to do that. You see it in the military, you see it in law enforcement, you see it in firefighter service, you see it in EMTs. These public servants that choose this line of work, whatever it is in public safety, you know, it's just an honorable profession. And it has to drive you to want to do it, because putting others before yourself is not always easy to do. But to be very successful at this, you have to do that. And we're attracting those people. So we have challenges just like the rest of the country when it comes to attracting quality individuals. And how we've done that, we created a new pay plan that I was fortunate enough that I had the county manager, the CFO, Tamara Munson, as well as the Board of Commissioners support. And as of November 1st, it was passed, and we've been able to advertise that not only here in Glynn County, regionally and nationally. We're doing it through social media, we're doing it through online advertisements, bulletin boards, you name it, we're going out there. Radio, you've probably heard some of our commercials on the radio, hopefully you have. And it's been successful. Just since January alone, we've had over 90 applications for the Glynn County Police Department.
Wow. So how many positions are available now? I mean, you've got all these applications. How many are you filling positions?
Well, that's how many applications we have. That doesn't mean we have 90 people that are qualified and we should hire. So
right.
testing, background, there's always a drop, and there's a substantial drop. Like everyone will tell you who does backgrounds on individuals for law enforcement. But we've attracted some quality candidates. We've hired numerous ones. We had 5 just graduate the academy 2 weeks ago, or Friday will be 2 weeks down from the academy. And then another one that started who was a certified officer in another jurisdiction that we brought over. And of course, we have a few other that we're getting ready to line up to go to the next academy class for us, which will either be July or August, depending on which academy we send them to. So we've had some really good results, Ms. Brooks, on attracting qualified talent, not only non-certified young people maybe out of college or figuring out what they want to do, but also certified officers. And that's where this pay plan that's also tailored with incentives to attract people to come here, to work here, and to retain them. So not only did we put incentives in place to hire people, we put incentives in place to retain people, like paying for education, which the county does. They'll reimburse individuals for that, but also an incentive every year for a different level of education you have attained. You receive that every year. Paying for many other things. If you're bilingual, if you're assigned to criminal investigations, different specialty assignments. So I'm very, very happy with the support that I've had from the county commissioners, the county manager, the CFO. I couldn't be close to successful as we are now if we didn't have their support. And we're building upon that momentum, and we're attracting really good candidates. So it's something I'm extremely happy about, and I can talk about all day long. And it's how proud I am to work with them and to be part of a team, because without that, we wouldn't be able to attract the individuals that we need.
Right. No, that's very good to hear. And that, once again, that's what the show's all about, really, to share that good news. And I would think, just generally speaking, that our area, because of FLETC, because of a lot of different reasons, these packages, these incentive packages that you're talking about, but plus the fact that we're a tourist destination. And I was going to get to that as far as, that probably attracts people, just like it kind of attracted you, your memories of coming here to the area as a child, but also as a police chief. And this is so important. And I'm sure your job sort of ramps up, if you will, when we get close to tourist season. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a tourist destination here. It's a beautiful location. I mean, it's one of the reasons my wife was so happy and eager to move down here. She says, absolutely. Yes, it does attract people, but we have to not only attract people that want to visit here, but want to stay here for the department for the long term. I'm looking to hiring people that want to make a career here at the Glynn County Police Department, and that's what we're doing. But yes, we're gearing up for the tourist season, as you'd say, and there's many things that we're doing. We do concentrated patrols, we do isolated patrols. We look at the data that's coming in. Where are the calls at? Where are accidents? Where is the traffic? Maybe it's by the pier, certain times a day when maybe we're having noise complaints for certain type of vehicles that maybe are coming in. And we've also increased our patrols there. So Friday, Saturday night, on the weekends, we have an uptick of personnel that we supplement our normal patrols that are out there on St. Simon's Island. And I think that's important. But we're also introducing a new bike patrol. So we've acquired 4 electric police mountain bikes through a grant. So it didn't cost the county anything. The grant paid for these bikes. And we had to get the bikes first. And now we're going to do the training on May 16th. And then we're going to start the patrols in different areas out there on St. Simon's Island, starting Memorial Day weekend throughout the summer.
Wow. Now that's exciting. I'd not heard that. That's very exciting.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. I mean, I'm going to go to the training myself. I think everyone from the top down and bottom up should attend this, because we're going to keep it open for people who want to work supplemental time out there, but also that want to do it as part of their shift, and not just supplement maybe perhaps when they're day off and we need more officers in that area at different times and on the weekends. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun for a lot of people, but it's going to be great for the community. There's nothing better to start a conversation with somebody in the community than when you pull up on a mountain bike, and it's an electric mountain bike, and they get to talk to you about your equipment and what you're doing, and the things that you hear and see on a mountain bike as opposed to sitting in a car driving around is night and day. You get to use all your senses when you're out there in patrol, and that's important, and it's helpful.
Right. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I guess golf cart police officers would not be, a lot of people are on golf carts, but bikes you can get probably faster in and out quicker and get right into the action. Golf cart, you might be stuck behind, who knows, you couldn't.
Yeah. These these bikes can go pretty much everywhere. They have really wide tires, so they can go on the beach as well.
Good.
They have a lot of power to them. They go up to, I think, 28 miles an hour is what I'm being told. And they can travel a distance on a charge of 50 miles is what the manufacturer has told us.
Wow. Well, that's very exciting. And yes, good to know that you are increasing police on the island as we get close to tourist time and on those busy Friday and Saturday nights. And we appreciate that. And anything else you want to touch on before we wrap it up?
No, it's been a pleasure to meet you, Miss Brooks, and to share some time with you. I look forward to visiting with you in the future.
Absolutely. We're thrilled to have you on the show. Thank you so much. Your department is so important, obviously, to the community and to Glynn County. So we just appreciate your public service and your dedication to Glynn County. So thank you.
Well, thank you again for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Absolutely. You have a great day.
You too. Bye. That was Police Chief Ebner. Stay tuned for more Golden Isles TV on our YouTube channel.